That's count number one has just come in, and he's found guilty on count number one. There are 6 counts total. Pat, let's bring you back in. Describe the difference in these 6 counts, because as I understand it, the first 2 had to do with what he said to the officer when they responded to this.
It's all the same conduct, just lying to the police, filing a false report, misleading them as to a crime that didn't happen. Apparently, the jury.
Count 2, guilty. So count 1, guilty. Count number 2, guilty. Pat, does that mean that this probably will follow suit in all 6?
It should, yeah. It'd be an inconsistent verdict otherwise, I think, at this point.
Okay,
we'll
so
get to count 3 first before.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess we will. But to your point, these are all sort of tied. How are they different than the 16 charges that were dropped initially in this case?
They're just more charging different things. This is basically, Dan Webb narrowed it down to these 6 disorderly conduct charges, just filing the false police report. There were some other things. I don't recall all the 16 charges, but this is just more narrowly focused.
Count number 3, guilty. So we have count 1, guilty, count 2, guilty, count 3, guilty. And I'm trying to think now, let me get to it. Count 4, we're just hearing now, guilty as well. Is there any reason to think, Pat, that the next 2 won't also be guilty?
No.
All right, so to the point then, and we'll pass these along when we get them, but to your point now, the penalties, because these are felonies, but they are the least serious felonies.
Yeah, class
correct?
4 in Illinois, yeah.
And what do they carry?
Up to 3, but he can also get, it's probationable, meaning he can get probation, so it can go from probation to 3. But again, I do think that he might do some time, given, as John pointed out, the damage and the clown show this was on the city of Chicago, and the basis of the crime is filing this false police report. Look at all the hoops everybody had to jump through to prove that, Jesse Smollett concocted this whole thing. So there's a big expense here, a big risk to the city, and there was potential in this city for igniting a race riot.
Count 5, guilty as well. So the first 5 counts, all disorderly conduct, the first 5 all guilty. Let's bring Arthur Aidala back in. Arthur, let's just, I guess, get your reaction to what we're hearing from the verdicts here in the Jesse Smollett trial.
Well, as Pat said, once the first domino falls, they kind of all fall, because those 4 of the 6 counts are just different reports that he filed with the police about this incident taking place. So there's no surprises here. But I do agree that I don't think probation is guaranteed here, not with all these eyeballs on you, on a judge, and the amount of money that was really wasted here. And I don't like people who file false crimes. As a criminal defense attorney, I have clients all the time saying, I didn't do it. They're lying. They made it up. And there's been times where I've caught the quote unquote victim in the lies and making it up. And I go to the prosecutor, right. Well, are you going to charge them now with this, with filing a false crime? Oh, no, we don't do that. Well, here they did do it. And here I think there should be some appropriate punishment.
We do have an update, Arthur. Count 6, not guilty. So Jesse Smollett found guilty on 5 of the 6. And I'm just checking here, Arthur. Count 6 refers to Smollett reporting on February 14th. So this would have been a couple of weeks after the date that he reported this hoax to police, that he had been a victim of an aggravated battery. So that's count 6 that he has been found not guilty on. The other 5 will be guilty. So, Arthur, let me just quickly ask you, too, on this. The judge is going to set the sentencing, right? It's up to him, correct?
It's 100% up to the judge. Typically, you have an opportunity, both sides have an opportunity to make some presentations of things they want the judge to take into consideration. Here, he's going to highlight any charitable acts, anything that he's done for people, for society, et cetera, et cetera. The prosecutors are going to talk about what he's done to the system and how we need to make an impression on people that you cannot file false charges. You cannot use the criminal justice system to garner fame. I mean, his fame was waning. And he used this as an opportunity to, keep his name out in the news. That's not what the criminal justice system is used for, and that there should be some significant punishment. I don't see the special prosecutor asking for the maximum penalty, but I do see them definitely asking for some period of jail time, whether it's 6 months, 6 weeks, I don't know. But I don't think that they're going to agree that he deserves no jail. If he pled guilty from the beginning, that would be appropriate. Probation would be appropriate sentence.
All right, Arthur, I want to go through these counts for everybody who's watching here. Count 1 accused Smollett of telling the responding Chicago police officer, this was about 45 minutes after this purported attack, that he was the victim of a hate crime. So that was count 1. He said that the 2 attackers had put a rope around his neck. Count 2 referred to Smollett telling the same officer that he was a victim of battery, describing attackers beating and pouring bleach on him. That was count 2. Counts 3 and 4 were when Smollett made the same claims, but to a different officer later that morning at before 6 a.m. This would have been on January 29th when he reported this crime. Count 5 accused Smollett again of telling the officer at around 7:15 p.m. that he was the victim of a battery. And again, he's been found guilty on all 5 of those. The count he was not found guilty on was count 6, which referred to Smollett reporting, again, about 2 weeks after this purported attack, that he'd been the victim of an aggravated battery. Let's bring Pat Brady back in. Having heard all of that, Pat, why not guilty on 6?
Aggravated battery is different than battery. Battery is a harmful offensive contact misdemeanor. Aggravated battery, you typically have to prove great bodily harm, although you can escalate a battery to an aggravated battery if it's on a public way. So I'm guessing that's the distinction that they made, that in this member during the trial, they were talking about the extent of the injuries, and he didn't really have extensive injuries, even though he said he did.
Yeah, Arthur, most trials, Pat and I talked about this earlier today, involve the jury instructions. They involve I guess maybe culpability and liability. This case was different in a lot of ways, including the fact that someone was just flat out lying, and now the jury has determined that it was Jussie Smollett.
And that's why I think, and look, Pat knows this is his backyard, not mine. So he knows this judge and how this judge reacts. Every judge is different. There is no uniformity. Every judge treats a case differently. But here, when you have such an opportunity to set an example to the nation, right? The nation is watching this case, for good or for bad, to just show, listen, you cannot use our system and manipulate our system. And that's basically what he was found guilty of doing. He was manipulating our system for his own good. If, God forbid, those crimes really happened, that would be a horrific, horrific act. And those individuals should be punished very harshly. And if he garnered some financial gain from it, so be it. But the fact that, according to this jury, he made it up and created it out of whole cloth, it's in my opinion, and again, Joe, I'm usually the one arguing the judge for the most leniency. I think some sort of legitimate punishment is warranted here.
All right, we're going to ask all of you to stay tuned and stay where you are right now, because we're going to continue our coverage now. Again, Jussie Smollett found guilty on 5 of 6 charges tonight. More from the courthouse. We are expecting reaction as well. Cameras are there. We'll hear from the lawyers involved as soon as they come out of the courtroom. The verdict has been read guilty on 5 of 6 charges for Jussie Smollett. Our coverage continues right after this. Welcome back. Actor Jussie Smollett has been found guilty on 5 of 6 felony counts of disorderly conduct. He was accused of lying to police and faking a hate crime. And just moments ago, the verdict has been read. And again, he's been found guilty on 5 of the 6 charges. Let's check in with Kelly Beeson. She is live at the courthouse for us tonight with more. Kelly, what's the latest?
Well, Joe, we have a producer inside of the courtroom when that verdict was being read. She said it was very somber inside, and that after the verdict was read, Jussie Smollett sat down and folded his hands. She also said that prior to the verdict being read, the judge made a statement saying, don't be emotional one way or the other, however this goes. And he said that to the entire courtroom. He also thanked the jury profusely after the verdict was read, saying they were fair, they were punctual, and they were very diligent about their duties in this trial. So that is the very latest. No word yet on sentencing. It could be days before we get an answer there. Joe?
Kelly, just to clarify, we've seen different pieces of video. The video we've seen of Smollett is him coming into the courtroom, correct? He's not left yet, has he?
I do not believe he has left yet. There's actually a car waiting outside of the courthouse here, and we've been monitoring that. It was the same car that dropped him off earlier today.
Right.
So we're awaiting his family to leave the courtroom here. It sounds like it'll be in just moments.
Okay, Kelly, thank you very much. Meantime, you're looking at a shot from inside the courtroom there. This, again, is at 26th and California in Chicago, the Cook County Courthouse. And when trials like this end, Pat Brady, let's bring you back in. This is typically what happens now. The players involved, the prosecutors, the defense attorneys will typically step up to those microphones and share some comments, and we will certainly share those as soon as they happen. But let's talk about what happens from here, Pat, because as we've mentioned, the sentencing is up to the judge at this point. This isn't something he does right now. How long does it take?
It's usually 30 to 60 days. Jussie will go to social services. They'll do a pretrial report. They'll do a full history on him. The defense, too, will also file a motion for new trial, which will be heard at the date of the sentencing. So the judge has an opportunity there if he feels that there's legal justification that the verdict can be overturned. Rarely are those granted. It's also a way that the defense can perfect any issues they might have on appeal. I'm not sure what appeal issues they are. It seemed like the trial went in fairly cleanly. I'm sure they'll find some issues. The one thing, without researching it, the maybe inconsistency in the verdicts on the 6th count, not being found not guilty, but the rest, and there might be a problem there. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but that's what the defense counsel will do. And then the sentencing. At the sentencing, the prosecution argues the aggravating factors of the case and the reasons why they are asking for whatever they're asking for. In this case, I bet they asked for jail time. And the nature and the seriousness of the offense, the potential harm of faking a hate crime and maybe inciting a race riot in a city like Chicago is a very serious thing. And another component of the aggravating factors to be considered are to deter others.
Right.
This conduct's horrible. He turned the city on its head for a couple of weeks, cost us a lot of money and a lot of police time. So those are the two things they will probably end up arguing on the prosecution side.
All great points, Pat. Let's bring in News Nation's Ashley Banfield to talk more about this. Ashley, it's interesting when you hear what Pat said there about the possibilities. You understand and realize the magnitude of what this could have meant and the seriousness of what he was alleging. And in the end, I think people might watch this and say, you know, he might get probation. Why are we spending so much time on this? Those are the reasons.
Well, let's not ignore the elephant in the room, right? We're in a whole new world since George Floyd. Cities, I shouldn't even say since George Floyd. I should say since Trayvon Martin. Cities have burned over issues of race. And so for something so frivolous to now be meted out as a hoax, it's very upsetting to people who are black and white alike for different reasons. Some will say, how could you do this and negate all of those cases that are legitimate? Because it does take a bite out of it, right? Credibility is important, and future cases will be affected. It's just the way it is. And those who say, how could you do this when we're already on such, where it's a tinderbox in this country when it comes to issues of race. How could you do this? I think for that reason, when you're talking to Pat, I think he's spot on. I think there's going to be not only jail time, I think he's going to be hit with the max. Because, again, it's not just a case. It is a case that is under scrutiny. The whole country's watching, and it is a different time.
Ashley, yeah, that's interesting. This was just moments ago with Jussie Smollett walking into the courtroom. Let's bring Arthur Aidala back in. Arthur, I'm guessing you're with me here. So what about this? I want to ask you, because we're starting to hit an issue here that I wanted to bring up at some point, and it's the Black Lives Matter statement on this case, which came out earlier today. And that statement said, we can never believe police, especially the Chicago Police Department, over Jussie Smollett. That, as a resident of Chicago, doesn't help. What do you make of that statement?
Well, anyone who makes that statement, no matter who it is, we can never trust the police, just loses all credibility. Here in New York, one of the biggest law enforcement officials say we must always believe women. I mean, you can't just paint with a broad brush like that. Everyone doesn't lie to the police. All women aren't always telling the truth. You have to take cases on a case-by-case basis. And here, listen, there were definitely racial overtones, but here I think it was more undertones. And the act that Jussie tried to portray, which was a lynching, which was having a rope put over your neck. I mean, that goes back, a long time ago to the darkest days of American history. That's why I agree with Ashley. I don't know if I agree that he's going to get the maximum, but I do not think he's going to walk away from this unscathed. I think he's going to go to jail. And my personal opinion is, for something like this, he should go to jail. It's one thing filing a false report saying someone hit me or someone stole my bicycle. That's bad. But to do something so racist about, he put a noose around my neck and tried to choke me when the video showed that really wasn't the fact, there's going to be severe punishment.
Let's bring John Cass back in. John, because I'd like to get your thoughts on this statement from BLM. We can never believe police. Now, you know as well as I do, Chicago police has had its share of issues, but on a case like this, when they spent hundreds and hundreds of hours investigating this, as you said, you mentioned a movie. The thing that came to my mind too was, I don't remember what it was. I think it was the what was that movie with Kathleen Turner?
Body Heat.
Body Heat. Yeah, where the actors.
My nose goes there, right?
There you go. Yeah, but he said, Mickey Rourke. Remember, he wanted to do the crime for William Hurt, and he said there are 50 ways to mess up a good crime. If you think of half of them, you're doing pretty well.
I like the movie idea, but remember this: we're talking about Jussie Smollett. We want to spank him. We want to send him to prison, and maybe he deserves it. But where's the commentary about Kim Foxx, who tanked this case, who met quietly with Michelle Obama's chief of staff, who liked Jussie Smollett? They all did. And he's on video at the White House dancing and singing. And Kim Foxx tosses this case quietly. She trashes the reputation of senior people in the prosecutor's office as she does so. And there's one other thing. There's a woman in all this that people aren't mentioning now, and I'll probably write about her as soon as I get off this program. Sheila O'Brien, the judge, the retired judge, Sheila O'Brien, stood up in court and demanded a special prosecutor because she didn't like what Kim Foxx had done. If we care about sending a message and you still have Kim Foxx in office, then really what message has been sent? Except you bathe someone in the Chicago way and you take care of your friends.
That's it. The podcast of the same name by John Cass, The Chicago Way. Ashley, let me bring you in for a minute because we talk about 50 ways to mess up a good crime, and if you think of half of them, you're doing well. But in this case, it seemed like police, I think, had gone over something like 1,500 hours of surveillance video that included everything from these two brothers going to buy the materials that they were going to use for this attack to the video of them actually driving along the route and planning this whole thing.
I mean, the facts in this case were a hot mess. I don't think anybody, watching this trial wouldn't say that. And I think there's a good reason, Joe, when we see those pictures of everybody filing into court, and it looks like there's quite a big contingent with Jussie Smollett, you don't see Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson, Rainbow Coalition. Maybe I'm missing, but I sure haven't seen a big outpouring of support for Jussie Smollett. And regardless of what the Black Lives Matter statement was, I think there are a lot of people of color around this country right now who are mad as hell. Because again, and I'll give you the example from a woman's point of view, when there's a false rape claim, it's minuscule compared to the real rape claims, but man, does it get a lot of attention. And it diminishes the real accusers of Cosby. It diminishes everybody who's really been through that experience, who doesn't want to have to go through the garbage. And this is a small percentage of people who will do this, but it gets a lot of ink and it gets a lot of oxygen. And it's not the right kind of oxygen. So if I'd like to see the whole Black Lives Matter comment, but I'm saddened to think that Black Lives Matter wouldn't say, this is one case, and please let's not forget the larger mission, equality and fair treatment for people of color around the country, as opposed to police lie. At this point, I think it's fair to say that a jury has spoken that Jussie Smollett is the only one who's lied here. Officially, it's on the record. He lied. And you know what? That lie is now going to cost him as an aggravating factor when it comes to sentencing. And I think Pat probably could speak to that. But I think he is going to get hammered by the judge because of lying on the stand. He took a risk when he went on the stand to testify on his own behalf, right? And then it's now been determined it was a lie. And that is an aggravating factor when it comes to sentencing.
All right, Ashley, thanks. Pat, let me jump off on that because you and I have talked in the past about the perjury angle on this and how it plays in, because I'm not sure what's the difference if you go and you take the stand and now, as he has, and you're found guilty, how is that not perjury?
Well, it's an aggravating factor. They're not going to charge him with perjury. They'll be done with that. But it is an aggravating factor. The judge is going to evaluate this defendant, and he lied when he testified. At least that's what the evidence showed, and that's what the jury found. So it's just another aggravating factor in sentencing.
I'm wondering too. Arthur had to move on, but from your standpoint, how does a defense lawyer try to make a case like this when none of it adds up? I mean, it just common sense, as we've talked about all of the factors and all of the things that Smollett claimed, none of it added up. None of it made sense. How do you even bring this case to trial?
Well, they did about as good a job as they could, but the reality is, and you saw it in the closing argument that we talked about at the top of the show, they just threw anything they could against the wall and hoped something stuck, and nothing stuck. But that's how you do it. If you don't have the facts, you just make confusion.
Here's what I'm wondering is next. They're going to come out and take the microphone here and stick to the story, are they not? I mean, that's what they're going to do.
I don't know. You know what? I don't know what he's going to. Well, there is a part of consideration, acceptance of guilt, too.
Right.
If he gets up there and keeps denying, the judge go, you still are denying that this happened? That's another thing he's going to think about.
That's interesting. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Acceptance of responsibility is the term. Yep.
We are expecting the defense attorneys to take the microphone here.
Even Rod Blagojevich had to get up and accept responsibility.
So do you think he might make him do that here?
I think they need to talk him through it first to make sure he says it the right way.
To be honest,
I don't see any upside for Jesse Smollett talking right
He's played this out so long now. I wish he had done this 2 years ago, right? Look, I made a mistake. We'd all moved on and accepted it and forgiven him. But he's gone so far with it now. I think people, at this point, you almost can't say, all right, I lied. You know,
well, you're going to have to. Or the judge, you have to accept responsibility. The jury has spoken, and you have to accept responsibility whether you like it or not. You got to get up and say, yeah, or
you got to get up and say, I did it.
Well,
you're
no,
okay.
you don't. If you plea, you do. But at some point, there's acceptance of responsibility is one of the considerations. If he doesn't do that, if he's still denying it all the way to the end, the judge is going to go, okay, kind of like you, we're done with this.
Okay.
The jury found you guilty. You had a fair trial.
All right, Pat, hang on. We got to take another break. Back with more, including whatever reaction comes out of the courthouse here, which we are expecting momentarily, right on the other side of the break. We are back as we continue our coverage of the Jussie Smollett verdict just in a short time ago. Guilty on 5 of the 6 counts of disorderly conduct. The question will now become sentencing. Will he get jail time? That we will see. You're looking at a live picture now from the hallway there at the Cook County Courthouse. And as soon as the players come out, which they will do momentarily here, including the defense and the prosecution, we will bring those comments to you. Pat Brady, let's bring you back in here because this is an interesting point that John Cass made. This is not the state's attorney who normally would be handling this case. And that's been a bit of a rub here in Chicago as well. This is a special prosecutor who was brought in just for this case.
Yeah, Kim Fox, the Cook County elected state's attorney who was responsible for prosecuting this, dismissed 16 counts against Jussie Smollett a couple years ago. And John mentioned, after a phone call from some of her political buddies, then she said she was going to recuse herself. She didn't do it legally appropriately, and so everything got dismissed. So he said, Judge O'Brien stood up and said, what's going on here? We need a special prosecutor. So Judge Tooman, the chief judge down here, appointed a special prosecutor, and the reward he got in Chicago was the chairman of the Cook County Board tried to get him out of his spot. So Dan Webb, the special prosecutor, was appointed, and he did the investigation, got the indictments, and tried the case.
And to your point, too, you've called him one of the best trial attorneys in the country, period.
Oh, yeah, he is. He's been, like I said, he was the U.S. attorney here in the Gray Lord days, went to Winston-Strawn, been there for years, tried some of the biggest cases in the country, including Iran-Contra.
Right.
So, yeah, he is. And I know John made fun of him, but he actually is.
Let's bring Ashley Banfield back in. Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think one of Jussie Smollett's lawyers, there were some questions about him as well, because I think initially, was he not talking to the Osundaro brothers about possibly representing them? And I think, are you familiar with this, Ashley?
No, you got me on that one,
Yeah,
unfortunately, but that would not be a good thing.
Right, hang on, though. Hang on,
Talk
Ashley.
about cross purposes.
Exactly. I have another question for you, but Pat, address that.
He was, and the judge limited the amount that he could participate in certain aspects of the trial because of that. But he still allowed him to stay on.
To represent Smollett.
Yeah, there were 2 attorneys, the male and the female, but he had to sit out on certain questions in certain areas.
Okay, again, just another point of this case that has just been sort of kooky.
What happens, criminal cases, Ashley, as you know, it's not ever super clean. I mean, there's always something coming up.
Right.
The judge did a nice job.
The other thing, Ashley, I wanted to get you on is what happened after Smollett made this claim to police. And I think people will see this and say, well, you're claiming you're a victim of a racist, homophobic attack. And yet when the police get there, he wouldn't cooperate. He didn't want to give them his phone. He didn't want to give them a DNA swab. And again, this is when, at least in Chicago anyway, people started raising their eyebrows and saying, wait a minute, what's going on here? What happened? When you look again at the facts, if you're a victim, why not cooperate?
I think that was what raised a lot of red flags right from the get-go, right? It's why the DA probably took a really close look at this very early on, saying, what do you mean a victim in the case doesn't want to help the police find those who did these awful, awful, awful things, to him? So the facts right from the beginning have been uncomfortable. I was astounded and thought, what did I miss when originally the case was tossed out? I'm shocked it took this long to get to where we are today because it seemed pretty obvious to me. I mean, I hate to say things are open and shut or slam dunk. Again, I covered OJ, but this one looked really fishy from the very beginning. And when you find a $3,500 check written to the two people who apparently beat you up, again, it's the smoking gun. So from the very beginning, I think this should have been very obvious. It shouldn't have been such a cultural touch point. But here we are. It speaks a lot to what this judge is facing down. And I would love to ask Pat Brady, if I can.
Sure.
When it's all about judicial discretion and sentencing, this is a guy who's got all eyes on him. You're not doing this quietly without a headline. Whatever this judge decides, Pat, is going to be on his head. And how much does that factor in? I know you're going to say it's not supposed to, but
Right.
How much does it really?
He's one of the most highly respected judges at 26 in California where this case was tried. And he's towards the end of his career. Honestly, I don't think he cares. I think he'll do the right thing. Whatever, here comes Dan Webb. He'll do the right thing, Ashley.
All right. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.